Today we're showing my respects to one of my favorite TV chefs, Mr. Gordon Ramsay. Don't know who that is?
Roll! Roll! Hold on.
Yes, he's made his beef Wellington dish something that chefs both aspire for and fear. Today we're doing it here in the kitchen. We're putting that to bed on a spread of creamy Parmesan mashed potatoes with braised carrots on the side. Pop your pinky, y'all. We're about to make this kitchen a fancy food spot. My name is Devon Vincent Bryan. I work for Residential Life and Housing. However, when I'm not in my office, I can be found in a market or a kitchen. I enjoy making dishes that are smart, simple, and shareable. Together, I know that we can turn your kitchen into a food spot. The Food Spot is sponsored in part by Big Y, a world-class market. This recipe begins with what we call a duck sal. Duck sal. It's basically a medley of chopped up mushrooms, whichever kinds you choose, a shallot, and thyme. I'm going to dispatch of our mushrooms, break down our shallot, and sprinkle in our thyme, add it to the pan. It's really going to cook down. 90% of a mushroom is actually water. So this takes over to our hot pan. We'll give this a few seconds and we'll check in. As you can see, our mushrooms have cooked down quite a bit. And that ends the duck sal. We'll transfer it to a bowl. It smells great. Again, that's the mushrooms, whatever type you like. A little bit of thyme, a shallot, some oil. We let that go for really about 10 minutes. What's the point of a beef Wellington without beef, right? Enter the beef. Ideally here, tenderloin is what Chef Ramsay uses. I don't know if you can hear me, but that's really expensive and anybody got time for that. So really whatever cut of meat that you like, that you find satisfying, really meaty, top round, an eye, just go to your butcher, let them know you're doing something that's a roast and you're looking for something that matches that. And we found ours at Big Y. Our butcher recommended this cut. We're seasoning that really simply with some salt and pepper. We're going to let this sit for 5 minutes while the salt does its thing, tenderizes the meat, and pulls all the moisture to the surface. I'll be back in 5. Alright, so it's been about 5 minutes. The salt and pepper is doing its thing. Time to add it to the hot pan. Beef is actually the medium. I can tell by the touch. Take that on. Put it on our cooking rack. And really, while it's hot, we want to add some mustard, right? The mustard is going to be kind of our glue, getting our prosciutto that follows next to stick to our beef. I choose to use a horseradish mustard. I like a little bit of heat in my dish, but you can use any mustard you like. You like it sweeter, you like maybe a whole grain mustard, whatever works best. So we're going to cover our whole beef with a bit of mustard. Okay, so we've covered our beef in our layer of mustard, and we'll let that sit just a little while. We've let our beef sit. It's given a chance for the mustard to really adhere to the meat. We're going to transfer it from the rack onto a lined, shingled outline of prosciutto. All we've done is rolled out each piece and lined it overlappingly so it holds itself in place. So the meat right in the center. And we put it on the cling foil so the cling wrap does all the work for us, right? So I'm just going to pull back, pull over, got some extra bits here that I am happy to sample later. And the same with the front end. Pull it back and over. You'll see that the beef only takes the piece of prosciutto that it needs, which means the extra areas we can just wrap with the remaining pieces. Then our goal is to wrap this as tightly as possible. The goal is to create a cylindrical and a consistent shape so that the food cooks, so the meat cooks evenly. Really tight. Let the cling foil do all the work. Nice. We're gonna put this in the fridge for 20 minutes. We've let our beef rest for a while. I'm gonna let it rest some more while we prepare our puff pastry. There's no need for you to try to make your own puff pastry. They sell them at the store. Just grab a box and roll it out. I'm gonna flour my board. Get our puff roll on. Okay, we should be able to make any repairs using our egg wash at the end. Now that we've rolled out our dough, it's about 3/4 of an inch. We're gonna unwrap our beef. Before going back to our beef though, we wanna make sure to add our duck sal, which again is a mixture of mushrooms, whichever kind you choose, chopped shallot, and a bit of thyme. Our goal is to get this evenly distributed across the surface of the puff pastry. I like to use my hands. Then we add our beef. Let this rest for 5 minutes. So we've allowed our beef Wellington to sit for a little bit, just to kind of figure itself out, right? But we want to make sure we heal all these little tears in the puff pastry. And we do that with an egg wash. Primarily, it's going to be the yolk of 2 eggs. Mixed with just a little bit of water. That's it, that's an egg wash. And finish with just a little bit of kosher salt. The egg wash helps hold on to that salt, and it helps to build a crust and ensures that our dough cooks evenly and browns nicely. We've preheated our oven to 450 degrees, and we're going to add this to our oven, and then we'll begin doing our mashed potatoes with Parmesan cheese and our carrots. So we're doing 2 quick sides along with our beef Wellington. The first is just a simply braised carrot done with cider vinegar and beef stock. Just cleaning up our organic carrots here. Adding to those that we've already done. I'm using the same pan that I roasted off the beef in. Why? Because all those drippings, everything from the pan is actual flavor, and we want to make sure that we keep all of that all the way through. Carrots braised. I'm going to finish off our potatoes, draining all the excess water off. Whew. That pot really wants to get open. Into our potatoes, we're adding a bit of butter, heavy cream. Heavy cream is optional. You can choose to use vegetable stock or chicken stock if you'd like to lighten it up. Sometimes I use almond milk, whatever you'd like to use to kind of give some body to the dish. So I'm going to add my heavy cream. I'm actually going to return this to the heat, and that's where I'll do the mashing. Okay, so we're mashing while we're on the heat so that the heat actually absorbs and cooks off any excess liquid that's not needed. Everything else will be absorbed by the potato. And as I'm mashing, you can see that our carrots are glazing nicely. I'll turn that down to a little bit. I'm going to add our Parmesan cheese, as much or as little as you'd like. I like a lot. Perfect. We can turn off our heat and let our mashed potatoes sit on the heat once again to continue to cook off any excess liquid. We'll turn off our carrots and allow carryover heat to finish up the items. All that's left now is our beef Wellington. Okay, so our beef Wellington's out. Our carrots are done. So are our potatoes. Nutty Parmesan cheese, gotta love that. So I'm gonna give our chance for our beef Wellington to rest. Plate up our carrots and our Parmesan mash. And while I do that, let's check out today's guest spot.
Hi, my name is Marion Crockett. I'm a sophomore. I live in Wright Hall. I'm an RA, and I'm a bio major. My cooking experience on campus is not really that much. I have a microwave in my room that I use for mac and cheese or popcorn, and I'm on the meal plan, so I've really only made like cookies like while I'm on campus. And in general, I'm not really very good at cooking, but I'd like to learn because cooking's always nice to be able to do. And I don't know, I'd like to see the food spot, see what it's all about, and learn to do some fancy dishes that you can obviously do right in a kitchen in a residence hall.
And so here we have it, right? Our beef Wellington, which has been wrapped in a duxelle and then followed by a really crispy puff pastry. I finished the dish with our roasted carrots, done with some beef broth and a little bit of red wine vinegar. And it's sitting on the most delicious, I hope, Parmesan mashed potatoes. Go ahead and dig in. Let me get in there. I'm gonna go right in the center. A little bit of prosciutto, crust. On behalf of my guests, my crew, and myself, we wish you happy cooking and even better, happy eating. Cheers.